Like, my thing is, could we get somebody that's better than what I call the black hole of outfielders not named Brian Reynolds?
Yes.
I don't think that's a big ask, is it, Jason? I mean, hey, I even looked at Taylor Ward. Yeah, he hasn't hit the last few weeks, but he has 16 home runs, and his numbers, compared to most of the guys that Shelton has to run out there every day in the outfield, he's Barry Bonds.
Yeah, Paul. I mean, you're right. I agree with you and what you're saying. Like, it seems like there's 0 and there's 60 in the minds of Pirates fans. There's either like absolutely terrible or they're going to go get the best player on the market. Like, there's a middle ground here. I mean, frankly, I think they let one get away in Jesse Winker. He would have been a perfect middle ground candidate. Like, some pop from the left side, didn't cost all that much. The Mets got him for their 17th ranked prospect. I mean, that's tough. But yeah, I look at the black hole of outfielders, the Bermuda Triangle of outfielders, whatever you want to call it. Like, they don't get enough offense from their outfield. That's a very obvious and true statement. And can they improve that? Yes. Right. And should it be incumbent on them to improve that? Yes. And a lot of people like to react. This might surprise you too. A lot of people like to react to what the Pirates have done before they've actually done it. I think they deserve to get to the deadline. And then we'll make judgments based on what they do or what they don't do.
Right. But I would just tell you this. I think if you look at where they're at, I mean, they're not that far. Like, to me, if they would add one more bullpen arm, which I think you could get, depending on what you could get it probably without giving a whole lot back, and one more outfielder. Boy, I think Jared Jones gets healthy for the stretch. Then you've got, Nick Gonzalez. It looks like he might be out for a few weeks or whatever, but still, he gets healthy for the stretch. I think, you're all of a sudden talking about, because Jason, the other part of it is, I think 85 or 86 wins get you a wild card.
It does.
They're not that far.
I know. And here's the other thing that I keep coming. This is sort of building on what you're saying, which I agree with. It's okay if you overpay sometimes because you have an opportunity. Like, that is the system. That is the trade deadline. You look at other teams. Like, you think the Penguins paid whenever they did stuff at the trade deadline, like Jim Rutherford's going for it or gambling. I'm not saying everything worked out, but I'm saying if you have a need, you're going to give up a lot to get it because you want to address that need. Like, Derek Brassard stunk as a third-line center, but you know what? The process was sound. The Penguins gave a lot because they had a need there. And so, you look at the Pirates, they have a need in the outfield. If you have to give something to address that need, that's okay. That's what we're supposed to do. You're supposed to grow prospects, have prospects. They've done that part. Now you just need the actual execution of the trade. Why you can't give to get, I don't understand.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. You raise a great point. There's this idea that, look at the Chris Archer trade. It just didn't work out. You bring up Derek Brassard. Look at that trade. It just didn't bring. And there's trades that don't work out. But guess what? That doesn't mean you never make trades.
Right.
There's no guarantee in life. They could trade for Ohtani, and you know what? He could tear his hamstring running down to first base. It is what it is.
It drives me crazy. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say but I always maintain the whole thing with the Chris Archer trade. Nobody would be talking about Baz or Tyler Glasnow or even Austin Meadows, wherever the hell he's at, right? Nobody would be even talking about that if Chris Archer just came and pitched well. It's not about the guys that are leaving. It's, do you get the right guy coming back? And you only know that if you bring him here and see what he does.
Absolutely agree with you, man. That's that Archer stunk and then became injury riddled. That turned up the volume on that whole trade. Now, it was a perfect storm of ugliness, right? Because they never developed Glasnow. They never developed Meadows. Boswood was an insane player to be named later. Like, everything that could have been associated with that trade was wrong. But the idea that you're trading 3 good players for 1 good player who's ready now, like, that happens all the time. And you need to make that trade both ways. Like, sometimes the Pirates are going to have to sell off a good player because maybe they have somebody younger and cheaper coming up, and then you need to execute it and get 3 good prospects back.
Right.
Good organizations do that. So given where they're at, I have absolutely no issue giving up players to get something. And it makes me nuts, Paul, sorry to go on this rant, but like, that everything has to be numerically, metrically, analytically equal all the time. Like, I'm sorry, sometimes it's just not. Sometimes you are a professional sports franchise and you need to operate out of a sense of emotion because that's what your fans are looking at. And when you have a situation to try and go for it, you owe that to them. And so I'm not saying they're not going to do anything. I still think they're going to do something. I just remember that, you're allowed to overpay at times too.